And cries about his problems.
That's materialistic. You know,
Being a man is hard.
real manly words. If you can't eating wise after going through what you
100%. I remember even too, you said,
Yeah, and us casual people.
but with that being said, like if it's
degraded for some reason. I don't know if money. We are back with Brothers United Roundtable, y'all. We're back with another video. And today, I want to talk about the importance of putting your purpose first and what my father understood about brotherhood. I want to talk about this today. Us as men, we are so caught up where everybody think we should be. They think that we should provide for women. They think that we're supposed to do all these traditional things and roles in society. But this story I want to talk about today is about my father, how he lived, and how I understand now how he lived after him being gone and me being 33. Now I understand why he did what he did during the later years of his life, why he focused on the most important things. And what was those important things? We're going to talk about that today. And important things my dad focused on was family and his purpose and his brothers. And I look at the path of my life and I find it's funny because it's like, damn, I'm focused on the same thing. Family and brotherhood, right? I want to talk about today because I remember growing up as a young man, bro, as a kid, watching my dad. I would never see him with a woman. I would never. I moved in with my dad when I was like 8, 9 years old. And I remember I would never see him with a girl or a girlfriend or women coming in and out. Only thing I would see my dad with is his homeboys, is his boys kicking it with his bros, or he with his family. It was the only things that I saw my dad with. Or he'd be working on, because he used to sell these little wooden rubber band guns. I don't know if you know anything about that back in the day. They used to have that. He used to sell those. It just worked. And every time I would go out with my dad, he would go fishing. He would go fishing with his boys. They'd go fishing on the lake, drinking. I would just be right there. They talking about, women, life, boxing, those sports, things that they like, But I remember being a kid. One time I remember asking my dad, when you gonna get back with mommy? You know what I'm saying? I'm a kid. He laughed. It was like, walked away. And I remember one time I asked, he was like, he just looked at me. He was like, oh, she crazy, man. Don't worry about it. He walked away. And he would always do that because I always wanted my parents to be together because I always wanted to see the family together as a kid. I didn't know better. I didn't understand things. And I would just always ask him that. And he would just look at me and smile. And I look back now on my life at the age of 33. And now I understand what my father did. I understand what my father knew. See, my father was red pill before I even knew what red pill was. Every time I see my dad, he was going out to his friend's house, talking about life, sports, things they like to do. That's the only things that mattered to him. Or he'd take us to one of his friends' house where they had cut me and my brother hair. Both of our hair, talking about boxing, sports, life. Or I go with my dad again. He'd be fishing with his friends, drinking, talking about life, sports, and boxing. Or he'd be selling the stuff he would sell on the side. See, my dad focused on things that he could control in life, that was important to his life, that was important, that people, he was dedicated his life to people who was real, who was valid in his life, who cared for him in his life. My dad understood the meaning of purpose and the importance of it. He did. And I remember his friends would have issues. One of his friends he was close to would have issues with, his wife. He would always, I would hear him talk. I was like, I don't know why you having these issues. I don't have them. Why don't he just leave? And my dad was he lived his life on his own terms. He left and he went as he pleased. He left and go as he pleased. Nobody told him what to do. I never seen a woman tell him what to do. When I was around him, growing up, my father was something special, man. But he knew what I figured out at the age of 33. He understood women. See, there was a great man who said you can either understand women or love them, but you can't do both. And my dad understood them. See, my dad was an attractive man. He was an attractive man. I remember when I was like in elementary, he would go pick me up from school. And I remember he went to the lunchroom. He like 6'6", man, tall. My dad was a giant. And I remember all the kids was just looking at him like, God, wow, he was so big and tall. All the kids just looking at him like, what the heck is that? And I remember I think she was like my 3rd or 4th grade teacher, because I was always getting in trouble, man, getting whoopings by my dad all the time. And I used to be in detention. And I remember that the teacher, my dad was complaining, she always wanted to talk to me. I know the boy bad in school, but she was want to talk about extra stuff, because her name was Miss Scott, and I remember she had a crush on him. I already knew she liked my dad. And I remember just that stuff like that, man, growing up as a kid. He wasn't a bad looking guy. He took care of all of us, 6 of us, man. Had a hell of a dad. But he never worried about women. He never let that be his focus. He only let things in life that was important to him, that mattered to him, that was there for him, that cared for him during his dark hours. See, I want to talk about that today, man. It's important, brothers, to understand that. And I remember during the later years of my father's life when he was sick, I would go to the hospital and see my dad. And I remember every time I would, his friends was there, his brothers. I'm going to say his brothers, his friends, closest ones. They was all there. All the people I would go to the houses he would drink with and kick it with, they was all there. And I remember on the day he died, they was all there. And they was all sad. His brothers was there to the very end of his life. Brotherhood is the most important thing you have, man. And we lost that. A lot of us don't even trust each other, don't even care for each other. Lying and cheating on each other, stealing from each other. We don't even know the meaning of brotherhood no more. But my dad did. He really did. He let go of the women problems he had in his life and focused on the things that was important in his life, like brotherhood and his kids. Because he understood women. He understand them like I finally figured out at the age of 33. Instead of whining and crying about women being this and that way, he just didn't even talk about it anymore. He just lived his life. He would see his friends go through it and he would say, why is he dealing with that? Just leave. My dad understood about women that I'm finally figuring out at the age of 33. And I'm happy though. I'm happy I can look back on my dad's life, being a man now. He probably looking down on me and saying, now you get it. See, most men, they go back and forth in relationships. They get divorced, they get married again, they get divorced and get married again, and they just say, you know what, I'm going to stay with this woman and be miserable. My dad lived his life on his own terms. His own terms. He didn't let nobody dictate his life. He didn't do it. And that is so real. I love my dad to death, man. And I remember all his friends being there on his last days. And at the funeral, bro, because I couldn't even get up to see my dad. I was so hurt. Dad was like my best friend, man. I had a hell of a dad, bro. But I saw his friends that was there. Every last one of them. Quite recently, I had a brother who went through some stuff. Not walking right now. But I was there for him every step of the way. Being there for him. And he told me one day, he said, you know what's crazy? I look up and I'm going through these problems and I see men all around me. During the hardest days of our life, we have always been abandoned in relationships by women. We lose money, we're abandoned. We go through hard times, we're abandoned. But for the first time, I understand what my dad understood. And when my brother said that to me, he was like, bro, I see men all around me because them are the only people that you got during the hardest times in your life. And I can relate to that. Quite recently, I went through some situation myself, going through this stuff in my personal life, my business. And my brother was like, bro, you need to get away. I was talking to him. He was like, bro, it's going to be better. Look, I get you a flight to Colombia. You can get away. Focus on the things that's important to you. I ain't talking about worry about women because I know you don't want to deal with that right now. Just get away for your sake. He didn't have to offer that for me, but he did. And I love him to death for it. That's all you have, man. That's really all you have. Is your brothers, dog. And if your kids, if you got them. That's all my dad had when he left. His family and his kids and his brothers. It was all there at the end of his life. And that's all you have, man. All this marriage and family shit, my dad didn't care about that. Not one time I seen him with that. Not one time. Because he understood what a lot of men starting to figure out because of the internet. They didn't have the internet back then. But he understood. I love my dad, man. I miss him to this day, dog. He was red pill before I even knew what that shit was. He went his own way before I even knew what that was. Just never spoke about it. He just lived and focused on the things that was important to him. Lived his life to this dying day on his terms. All I can do is respect that about my father, man. And that's real, bro. Nobody understands that we walk this path alone as men. A lot of dudes today just continuing this path of self-destruction. They get divorced, they get married again, they get divorced, get married again. Dude, when you just gonna focus on the things that's important to you? When? When you gonna focus on the things that's the most important to you, like the brothers in your life or the kid that's in your life? The things that's the only things that matter. A woman you can wake up and she could be gone tomorrow. I don't care if she told you she loved you today. What about tomorrow? I remember my dad passed away. One of his best friends was crying, bro. And I look at my life and I'm like, damn, I'm going the same path my dad did. I surround myself with brothers, dog. And every time I went through a bad relationship, every time I went through hard times, they was there. I love you. I love my dad. I know you looking down, bro. I know you are, man. I want to thank you because I can look back in my life and understand what you did and why you did it. Any man going through problems in life, dog, it's time to do some self-reflecting. If you look at that person right beside you in hard times, and you look at that person and you think to yourself, if hard times come in your life, will that person be there? If you got to second guess it, man, you need to just go now. Save yourself the trouble. My dad left everything, left it behind and focused on things that he can control. He was 6'5", 6'6". He was everything the women like. He didn't care about that shit. He cared about the things that he can control. I love you, Dad. And maybe that's why I'm going down the path I'm going today. I ain't my father's son, that's all. You figured it out before I even knew. This is Brothers United, the Round Table, man. I'm out.